Hi, my name is Mark Messier. I'm a product specialist with OPEX Corporation. And with the recent introduction of the Model 72 and the AS7200 scanner, since then a lot of people have asked us kind of what are the differences? What is it that's new and improved that since we brought these to market? So we wanted to take a little time to take you through some of the new features and show you how they differed from the previous models. So with that, we're going to start with the Model 72. One of the most significant changes to the Model 72 is its ability to handle much larger and much heavier pieces of mail. To give you some indication of that, we have a little chart here that will show you that the smallest piece of mail you can put through is the area represented in this blue scale, and then the largest piece of mail that you could put there is an envelope this size, as big as this is, and very importantly, as thick as this. This is about a 3/8 inch thick piece of mail. And again, to give you a sense of scale, if you were to look at this chart, we can now handle mail as thick as 3/8 of an inch. Before, we were up here in a 1/4 inch scale. So an envelope this large was as big as we could do before. Now we're handling mail down in here. This envelope, in fact, has 50 pieces of paper in it. This is, I think, 8 tri-folded pieces. So again, we're handling a much larger, much heavier piece of mail with a much more robust feeding system. So with that, we'll load some mail and we'll show you what this looks like when it's running. So we have some intermixed mail here that we put together to show you, different thicknesses, different sizes. We're going to put it inside the machine. There's a plate here. We can beat it down a little bit if you want to. Put it in. The system auto adjusts. We go sit down and fire it up. All right. What you can see here that looks different from the machine you might have seen before, the 3690 with the Model 51, is that we have a much more substantial looking area. You've seen the feeder. Now we're going to fire it up, and you're going to see that the belts are going to fire the documents in here, the envelopes. They're going to hit here, which is going to auto jog the contents away from the cutters, and then it's going to auto jog on its way down in again. This is to try to help us reduce any potential for cutting the contents of the envelope. Here's what it did. As it went in, it cut the side. As it came across, it cut the top, and it presents the contents of the envelope to the operator at a 45-degree angle. And then they remove the contents like you're used to seeing. And as we get to an intermixed size, like in the case of a 6x9, so here's our 50 we talked about. Just to give you again some sense of how thick we're talking about here. There's some trifold. You'll notice there's no cuts. That's the next large feature or most important feature of the machine. It now has a new milling cutter. I'll show you the difference in milling and cutting. The old style cutters made a slice of a piece of paper like that. That's the top of the envelope, very small. The new one, if you can see them, just kind of mills and chips away at the top of the envelope. So it provides a very reliable cut with almost no content damage. Now, there are some other smaller refinements to the Model 72 that I could go into, but those are the biggest and most visible changes. So we want to move on to the AS7200 at this point. Again, a lot of things here. We listen to our customers, talk to them about what kinds of things we could make improvements to what was an already excellent product, and we went ahead and made some of those changes. So I want to take you through fundamentally 3 areas that are of the most note. The first one is the feeder. The feeder has been completely rebuilt. It's probably the most robust, most forgiving feeder that I've seen in all the years that I've been doing this. I've been around scanning now for almost 30 years. And this is really, the engineers outdid themselves. You'll notice, those of you who know the product, this predecessor, the 3690, there are no operator adjustments on here anymore. The system will now auto-adjust, auto-singulate, on-demand singulation. It's just really an amazing feeder. So without taking you through too much of that, I'll fire it up for you so you can see it, and then I'll explain some of the technology that we're using. Those of you who know the scanner know that we can take single sheets. Hand dropping is one of the things we do. Even small stacks of paper like that will go through the machine fine. and it will singulate them. But what's been done now is if you were to take a stack of paper and put it in there, it will auto-singulate. It knows a stack is present. It stops the rollers. You can put another stack on there, and it will go ahead and auto-singulate that paper. So it's on-demand singulation, on-demand auto-feed. If I went back to a single sheet, it'll go ahead and single sheet it, no problem. If I'm dealing with larger pieces of paper, and we've made it larger, you can actually scan a much bigger piece. You're used to seeing us scan paper in this direction. Well, now we can scan paper in a true landscape. We've got a full-size imager, which I'll be taking you through in a minute. So now we can actually make this a 120 page a minute scanner just by rotating the documents. So I can prepare stacks of work out of a file folder, work out of the envelope. If it's a nested trifold, I can go ahead and auto feed and just turn it loose and let it go. I'll tell you how this works in just a minute here when it finishes up the stack. And I'm going to quiet down the scanner just for a second so you can kind of hear. What we've done in here is we've brought to bear a technology called ultrasonic doubles detection. The idea behind that is that there are sound waves that we shoot through the paper. So there's a sensor here that shoots sound waves through, and it detects an air gap between the paper. And it says, you know, I have 2 sheets here, so I better do something about it. What it does is it fires up a plate to try to singulate the paper. It provides some friction so it can pull the top sheet off. When it does that, we have another ultrasonic doubles detector behind it that then says, well, did you manage to separate this double? And if you didn't, I'm going to reject it and make the double go up here, and you're going to defeat it again. But what we had to take account for was an envelope. An envelope to an ultrasonic doubles detector is a double. It's 2 sheets of paper with an air gap. So the technology in here that's so slick really is that we can go ahead and say, I see a double, I better try to separate it. I tried to separate it, let me check it again. Is it still a double? Yeah, it is, but you know what? I better see if it's an envelope first. So we send it through our envelope detection circuitry, and if he says, you know what, it was a double, it's a double, but it's an envelope, we don't have to stop. It just keeps feeding. If in the case of 2 sheets of paper it saw a double, tried to separate it and still sees a double, then it will stop, reject it, and let the operator handle the double. It's the best feeder I've seen in all these years of being in this business. Now, once we've gotten past the feeding area, which is all new, we have a new imager. The imager that was in here before was a native 200 dpi imager, and it was 9 inches tall. So in those original designs, if you had a piece of paper that was an 8.5 by 11, you had to feed it in this orientation, because if you fed it, it would chop off the top. Now we can feed paper in a true portrait orientation. What's also new about it is the fact that it's native 300 dpi, and we no longer have to slow down for color. So essentially we have a full color, full speed scanner running at 120 pages a minute that can put out up to 10 images per document. In fact, I'll drop one in here and show you real quickly what that might look like. I'll drop this check, we'll capture it. So here's a bitonal image of the front of the check. Here's a bitonal image of the back of the check. Here's a grayscale capture of just the courtesy amount area of the check. I can do up to 10 images, full pages, partials. And then here, for example, is a full color image. All done at full speed. I can have any combination I want on output of resolution, color depth, grayscale, bitonal, even the binarizer I want to pick. We have a new binarizer available to us, and that binarizer is called VRS. Now, some of you may be familiar with VRS. If I were to ask someone to go make a copy over the years, you'd say, go make me a Xerox. Xerox was copying. If I said I want to sneeze and I need something to blow my nose, I would say, well, go get, you wouldn't say a tissue, you'd say, go get me a Kleenex. That brand name is what VRS is to the image cleanup business. It's the standard. Well, VRS has been integrated into this product now as an option, and it's designed to handle difficult situations. So if you have, for example, the case, I'm going to force it to be used right now. If you have the case of, say, a low contrast form, this is a copy of a copy of a copy. If I go ahead and feed this, then here's what it might look like. This is just a grayscale image of that document. Now here's what a standard binarizer might make that look like. It's doing the best it can to figure out what's black and what's white. And here is what VRS did to bring that image to be a usable image, something you could actually capture data from. You could key from it, you could send it through an engine. So it really did an outstanding job of going from that to that. Now another feature in VRS is a feature called color detect. You may have a job that is primarily a bitonal job. You're putting through paper that looks like this, for example. It's just a binary piece of paper, it's black and white, and you just want to pretty much output that. But you say to yourself, well, once in a while we get something with color on it. And when I see color, I'd like to maybe put that color out as a color image. But I don't want to have to dedicate the job to do that. So I can go ahead and invoke a feature in VRS that says when you see color, let's output it as color. So if I drop this sheet, again with VRS enabled, then it went out as a grayscale image or as a binary image. But if I take an image like this, for example, and go ahead and do it, if you watch on the screen, he'll say, oh, well, in this case, I want color to come out. So because he found color, he output color. The operator had to make no intervention. It saw color and output color. The last feature that is impressive in that regard is auto rotate. Based on content, we can decide that, and again, I'll show you up here, if I were to drop this upside down, watch what happens on the screen. It says, well, okay, let's put it right side up. And that would happen to any document that I happen to drop. Let's say I drop the form this way. I send it through that way. It says, well, you told me you wanted it right side up. There you go, we're right side up. So those are just some of the features of VRS that have been ingrained in the system to help with certain situations that might present themselves with difficult documents, low contrast forms, color detect forms, things that are sort of outside the ordinary. This will handle. So it's a great addition to the product. We're real pleased to have it. One of the advantages to putting in the larger imager is that we now can scan larger actual pieces of paper. We can go to 12 inches and a quarter by 18 and a quarter, and we believe that one of the best markets for that is in backfile conversion. So if we were going to go ahead and scan something like a file folder, we could go ahead and take the folder itself, scan it, get the information that someone might have written on the document itself, and then go ahead and take anything that was in the file folder, pretty much any size we want to, photographs, checks, envelopes, whatever happened to be in there, and just let it go ahead and put it right back in the folder again. And we can go down to a business card size. We can do papers like these with sticky notes stuck on them. There's a sticky note right about there. Pretty much anything that happened to be in the folder, we can go ahead and scan right back into the folder again with almost no preparation of any kind. Maybe take a staple out on occasion, remove it, and then close it up, move on to the next folder. If a person were then going to use the system as it's designed with the mail opening, you might go ahead, take out the contents, and scan them out of the envelope. Let it auto feed, let it auto singulate, let it detect envelopes. I can go ahead and look at this in a transaction order. This is what the machine is designed to do. Let you easily go from an envelope to usable data and usable images in one pass with one step with as much flexibility as you can find in any product. So we hope that sort of tells you something about what the machine is like, what the features that have been enhanced are. Again, we listened to our customers. They said, wouldn't it be nice if it could do this, if it would do that, if we improve this. We listened to all that and have made significant improvements in both the mail opening capabilities of the machine and in the scanning capabilities of the machine. We're real excited about these changes here at OPEX. We think that these scanners and openers are the best in the market. We've taken good products and made them better. We've done it in a way that we think satisfies a great number of needs for our customers. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you and goodbye.